Podcast, the first ever sports astrology podcast. You heard it here first. It's your girl, Q Ray, and we're going to be talking about what is astrocartography, the planets. And this is part one of a series that I will do because I did put out a poll recently on my community tab asking the collective here what kind of content they would like me to drop. Would you guys like me to continue to focus more on sports astrology or do more astrocartography content? And astrocartography wins. Astrocartography got the most votes, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop sports astrology. It just means that I'm going to interwoven some astrocartography content, and also I'll have a class ready for you guys as well tomorrow, Monday, in light of the full moon in Cancer. So you guys can take a part of that. The link will be in Patreon, and it will be posted to the community tab. So the class that I will be teaching on Patreon will be more in depth. It'll basically be a class that teaches you how to read your astrocartography chart so that you can make big moves and big decisions on where you need to live and grow and visit. But for now, I'll start putting out these part two, part three episodes here for free for you guys to take a look at so you can get an introduction to astrocartography. All right, so we're going to talk about the planets in astrocartography first and foremost, what they mean in astrocartography, because they do take on a different meaning in astrocartography, but also a similar meaning as they would in astrology in astrological terms. So basically, astrocartography is how the placements of the planets affect the energy where you live and where you visit based on your time of birth. And so wherever you go in the world, wherever city, state, or country that you go in the world, it will have a different energy vibration attached to it based on your natal chart, right? So if you go to a place with your family, for example, for like a vacation, let's say, everyone is not going to have the same experience, right? Because everyone's born on a different day, born at a different time, even if it's on a different day, et cetera, born on a different year. So everyone's energy is vastly different in different areas. And therefore, the experience overall in said location would actualize in many, many different ways. The feelings of it, the emotions surrounding it, everything will pretty much exude in a multitude of different ways. So we're going to go through each and every planet in astrocartography. And also, I'm going to go through the points here as well. You don't see it here in the picture, but I'm going to talk about those points, which is Chiron and the moon's nodes. But let's first get through the sun, through Pluto, the first 10 planets. So the sun in astrocartography are going to be areas where you can feel more energized, confident, and complete, and a place where you pretty much feel like you shine, right? This is also a place too where a lot of like younger people, kids and stuff like that would gravitate towards you. So it's really good for people who are looking to work with children, whether they are a teacher or a coach or in education of some sort. So it's definitely great for that, and also great for just coming into authority, because the sun, just like Capricorn, rules the father, okay, rules the king. So memories of the father could come up on the sun line. For men, trying to exude qualities of the father could come about on the sun line as well, or thoughts and memories of the father could come up as well. Same thing for women. Women being drawn to men who are like their father, or just also themselves becoming like a quote unquote father figure. But don't take that literal, because we all have masculine and feminine energy within. So it just means that the sun line for women would pretty much amplify her leadership qualities. And that's true for both men and women. So it's a great place to take on careers in leadership or careers dealing with children and education. And it also helps with your vitality and your health, makes you overall jovial, confident, and better able to take the steps that you need to take care of your health as well. Moving on now to the moon line, this is where you might find emotional fulfillment and a sense of belonging. So I find that people live on this line because when people live on this line, it's usually people who do not leave their hometown. They've lived there their whole life because they find a sense of belonging there and connection. And even if they don't have a good relationship with the maternal figures in their life, because the moon rules the divine feminine, they will still stay there and ultimately end up taking care of said maternal family members on the moon line. The other thing too with the moon line is to be mindful of drama and emotional turmoil on the moon line. This is a line that is particularly more beneficial for women, of course, than it is for men. And this is also a line where one can find their ancestral ties on this line. So if you were to look on your astrocartography chart and you see your moon line, there could be some connection between your ancestral lineage. Maybe you haven't done ancestry.com yet, but this is a great way to find where you have, your ancestors or your bloodline, or where you're connected to in terms of those topics are concerned. The moon line is great for that. Moving on now to Mercury. Mercury line is an area where you may experience enhanced communication skills and intellectual growth. It's also a very busy line. That's a lot going on, a lot of errands. You'll find yourself mentally stimulated, and a place where you will build community rather easily. You will find that, you really connect with the community there, and you feel a part of the community there as well. It's also a place that is very good to find a university or find a trade school or something like that. Anything that has to do with education, going to your Mercury line, you would do well. You would be able to understand certain information and concepts that you may need to understand for your job or your major or what have you. And this is also a great line for people who are in the communications field, maybe a podcaster, maybe you're an author. It's a great line to come up with ideas and stimulate your mind and put pen to pad and really allow your rational mind to really flourish here. Mercury is also, like I said, a very fast-paced line to live on. Mercury does rule vehicles, so you could find yourself communicating a lot, maybe being a part of support groups, maybe being a teacher, maybe being a mentor, those kinds of things. And if you are looking for that, like a mentorship, then the Mercury line is great for that. The Venus line is one of the most popular lines in astrocartography because the Venus line represents where we might find love and finances and inspiration as well. So this is also a great place to get yourself together in terms of your appearance, in terms of your outward look. And the other thing too, though, that one must be mindful of on the Venus line is weight gain. This could be a place where you put on some pounds if you're not careful, if you're not really looking into that. So you want to be mindful of that energy. The Mars energy is an area where you could experience ambition, but also potential conflicts, maybe a little bit of arguing, a little bit of sparring here and there. It is also a good place for athletes, though, and any military activity, if you're in the military, or anything that has to do with competition, organized competition. If you end up on your Mars line and you're in some sort of sport and you end up there, you will do pretty well. The Jupiter line is an area where you might find a leg up, wealth, education opportunities, success, and luck as well. I don't have too much to say about the Jupiter line. It's pretty much self-explanatory. And it is true. I've actually visited my Jupiter line last year and it was amazing. And I did experience luck. And I got this opportunity to fly to my Jupiter line for free, to experience the Final Four. I won a sweepstakes to watch the Final Four in 2024. And lo and behold, it was taking place on my Jupiter line. So it was well in line with what I wanted or what the Jupiter line would create for me. The Saturn line is an area where you could face life lessons, responsibilities, and not such a fruitful love life, I want to say as well. You could feel blocked in love. And when it comes to life and work and everything in general, it's just really one of those lines where you would have to put in the time, the effort, and the energy in order to actualize the results that you're seeking. Nothing comes easy on the Saturn line. The Uranus line is an area where you would experience a fun time, fun trips, changes, abrupt changes, surprises, but also on the flip side, support as well. Support from friends, your networks, and maybe even like a lucky breakthrough to experience something with a group of people as well could also occur on the Uranus line. I also want to note that the Uranus line is not great for women and men who have young children because it could cause abrupt starts and stops, maybe moving homes, moving house, and then having to move the child's school district. So one would have to be mindful of that. But it's a great vacation line for sure because you could go to any vacation spot where you have positive Uranus placement and have the time of your life. The Neptune line is an area where you will find creative inspiration, spiritual inspiration. You would likely grow your spiritual self, understand your spiritual journey more. But there's also a bit of illusion on the Neptune line where you could be an over dreamer and really put too much dip on your chip and want to see things manifest. And, it may or may not occur that way. It can happen, especially for people who are in sales or people who are artists, singers, actors. So it is great for that, for creative arts and film, photography folks, and people who are in sales. But if you are looking to really create a long lasting career opportunity that has nothing to do with creativity and more so the tangible earthy elements of a career, then the Neptune line, I would avoid it altogether. It is only beneficial, like I said, for people in the creative fields and people who are in sales. And then we have the Pluto line. The Pluto line is an area of intense personal growth and transformation. So there's a lot of stress that can cultivate on a Pluto line. The Pluto line, Pluto itself deals with, resources and also power struggles as well. So one could have power struggles, particularly women could deal with power struggles with the opposite sex and even with the same sex as well. And it is a transformative place or environment. If you were to live on your Pluto line, it can really break down your ego and make you rebirth yourself in a way that, you let go of certain qualities and certain things and intensities, and overall just helps to mold yourself into someone that is powerful. Because I also see the Pluto line as equal to power, right? That's why I say power struggles that can happen. So you will be able to find your power on the Pluto line if you allow for the restructuring. And when I say restructuring, I mean it just depends on where Pluto is in your relocated chart. You must allow for the restructuring there in order to kind of like see how things can change for you, right? How things can restructure for you, and you'll be able to see your power more clearly and what you can actually do. Like I said, I was living on my Pluto line for 3 years, and in that relocated chart, it was Pluto in the 12th house, which deals with mirrors and cameras. And, I am a model and I'm an actress, and I was able to transform my career in a multitude of ways to rise to the top and work with actors and actresses that are famous and work for major brands. So it was a transformative line for me for sure, as it was connected to my midheaven. So it did transform my career in a very, very amazing and positive way, I must say, where it showed me what my power was and where my power actually lied once I surrendered the old self and stepped into the new. Now, some of the placements that are not on this chart, there's just two, which is Chiron and the moon's node. So I'll talk about Chiron. The Chiron line is a line where one could see themselves doing a lot of shadow work and healing themselves, healing that chironic wound, that trigger that they have. And depending on the sign of Chiron, that is where the healing will take place. For example, if you have Chiron and Gemini, there could be some healing around communicating, and then the house is also going to play a major part in that as well. What part of your life do you need to heal in terms of communicating? What house is that? Then you will be faced with situations, people, places, and things that will definitely trigger you on the Chiron line for sure. But this is all for your greater benefit, because it's going to really help you heal that area of life so that you can in turn do what Chiron is subjugated to do, which is to make you heal your wounds so that you can help other people heal as well, because that's what Chiron is. Chiron is the healer, right, of our triggers, of our insecurities, of our wounds. And so if you live on your Chiron line, you will be faced smack dab in the middle with your wounds. But of course, it's not bad, guys. Like I said, astrocartography is so nuanced, and that's what the class is going to be about. I'm going to go more in depth about everything when I talk about Chiron sextile, Chiron trine, Chiron square, Chiron conjunct. So we'll talk about that more. Again, the class will be launched tomorrow. I will go live in that class. Okay. So these are not pre-recorded pre-recorded videos that you watch. You would just go on Patreon and you would register, and you will get notified when I'm live and having a class there. It will be recorded and it will stay put after the class has been recorded. Okay. So that's Chiron. All right. Now moving on to the last one, which is the moon's nodes. And the moon's nodes deals with our north and our south node. And this is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful and important power lines in astrocartography, because the north node is essentially where you need to move toward, right? It's your purpose in this lifetime. So whatever sign the north node is in and whatever house it's in, we all need to move towards that, right? And so when you're living on your moon's nose line, you will find great purpose. You will feel like you belong. You will feel like your north node is being activated, and hopefully you will not regress into south node energy. The only time I see when people regress into south node energy on the moon's nose line is if the moon's nose line is in a conjunction or a square in the astrocartography chart. Other than that, and honestly, I feel like too, it just depends on the angle. Like if the moon's nodes is in a conjunction with the fourth house, then the person would need to be mindful of how they show up with their family, just making sure that they're not regressing into their south node energy when it comes to home, family, safety, security, and stability, and really go more forward into that north node energy. But all in all, when you have a positive or harmonious, I should say, moon's nose line, like if it's in a sextile or a trine, you will find yourself really stepping into qualities and activities and characteristics that have a lot to do with your North and your South Node. And it's just really important to understand what your North Node is so that you are making sure that you're moving north and not south, is what I would say there. So that's it, guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Like I said, I made a poll of what kind of content you guys want to check out. And so I decided astrocartography because that got the most votes. But I will still post sports astrology content. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. And if you want to learn how to read your astrocartography chart, the class will be available tomorrow on Monday. I will go live in that class every single Monday. Okay, guys, every single Monday. And if you miss the class, it would also be in a recording, so you can always check it out. All right, if you missed the class live. All right, guys, take care.